This is Barrels and Barrels, a bourbon and baseball podcast, with your hosts, Brandon Spinner and Michael Burns.
And welcome into Barrels and Barrels, a bourbon and baseball podcast. I am Brandon, alongside one of my best buddies, Michael Burns. Michael, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good, Brandon. Pretty good.
After everybody's speakers in their AirPods or in their cars just blew up. Oh.
Should I apologize? No, I won't apologize. Because this is
not
Barrels and Barrels.
A bourbon and baseball podcast, but we're going to call it a Scotch and a baseball podcast tonight because we're going with something different tonight. Before we jump into that, Michael, how you doing tonight, dude?
I'm doing pretty good. We got something interesting on the table here for us to taste and get through. I like your hat you got there. I like it. I like that party hat.
Yeah, party hat. And you can't see it if you're listening to us on a podcast. So that means head on over to YouTube. Check us out there. Barrels and Barrels Pod. I'm rocking the Rocket City Trash Pandas hat for those of you looking at it on YouTube. I love the creativeness where the rocket is the R and the halo around the rocket is the C to make it the Rocket City, and then the Trash Pandas is the fire coming out of the rocket.
Bro, I didn't know that was the C.
You didn't realize that?
It's been 2 years, 3 years. They played two seasons. They've been around 3 years, and I didn't know that was the C.
And I just blew your freaking mind, didn't I?
And what was the last part? I was so blown away by the C, I didn't hear the last part.
The fire of the rocket is the tail of the raccoon. Yeah. Are you serious? You just realizing that now?
I just thought it was an R, and I don't know why it was a halo. Like maybe like for breaking the sound barrier. I was so focused on the rocket.
Well, there you go. The more you know. You're welcome, Rocket City Trash Pandas. I just taught someone your logo, and he lives literally 5 minutes away from your stadium.
Less than 5 miles. Yep, I could walk after having a couple pours even.
We've had a couple of pours in the past, and we're gonna have some more as we move on here. But yeah, Rocket City Trash Pandas hat. You can find us on YouTube, as I mentioned, also on Instagram at Barrels and Barrels Pod, Facebook Barrels and Barrels Pod, Twitter Barrels and Barrels. Michael, what's above you on YouTube right now? What does it say?
Is that my name up there? That's BNB_Burns.
And that's where we can find you on Instagram. I am at whiskey_weather. And this is a bourbon and baseball podcast, but we're going on the Scotch route. Should we drop this on a Saturday?
Oh,
Scotch Saturday?
Scotch Saturday? You think so?
Scotchy Scotch. Down to my belly.
I feel like I have to hold my glass a little different because it's got the Scotch in here.
So this is one that I really was excited about. Was really looking forward to. It is the Lagavulin. I hope I really said that right. Lagavulin. Offerman edition, Charred Oak Cask. So, 2020.
Offerman edition.
Yes,
Who's
Offerman edition. Nick Offerman, fellow Cubs fan. Mr. Ron Swanson himself.
Ron Swanson himself. One of my favorite bits, is when he's at the grocery store and they're like, "Oh, here, try our vegan, I think it's bacon."
Yeah.
And he throws it right in the trash.
My favorite is when he's like, "I'll take all the eggs and bacon you got." Excuse me. I think you heard I wanted a lot of eggs and bacon. What you didn't hear is I said, I want all the eggs and bacon that you've got. Or put those tears back in your eyes where they belong. One of the best characters. And we could do a side podcast about Ron Swanson. But I was very excited about this. The Offerman edition in 2021 came with high regards. I believe it was one of the top 2 or 3, maybe even the top bourbon. I think it was number 2 on the famed Whiskey Advocates top 10 bourbons of the year.
It was number 2?
It was number 2 in 2021.
And what was number 1 for Whiskey Advocate?
That year? I have no clue. It wasn't Jack Daniels.
Okay.
It was 2021. I thought you were
talking this year. Okay, never mind.
No. This was for 2021.
Moving on.
So, the Guinness finish was 2021. This is the Charred Oak Cask, age 11 years.
Ooh.
The single malt Scotch whiskey, Offerman edition. There is a little picture of Ron Swanson in a boat on the bottom of the label. Really cool. I love the thought. I read an article about this the other day, how this was something he got into on the set of Parks and Rec. I believe the producer or the director of Parks and Rec, his favorite was Lagavulin. brought it over. Offerman really fell in love with it, and since then it's been something that he's made a passion. And he said it's something that he gets paid to promote, right? But like it's not something that he's just getting paid to promote. Like he does it because he loves it, because it's his favorite drink. But cool stuff. I've never been one to get into Scotch, so I'm putting that out there. I'm telling you, my Scotch palate is probably shit. So if you're listening to this and you're looking for a really in-depth insight and review, I'm probably not the person to go to.
Looking over at my shelf, I have Monkey Shoulder on my shelf that's been purchased by me. And I don't even if that's even a Scotch necessarily. I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I've heard good things about Monkey Shoulder. That like it's a gateway for some Scotch drinkers. I've had some Scotch pours. There are some that I like. There are some that I don't like. There are some that I just get too peaty. There are some that I think are more like seaweed. That's just my thoughts. I've had Johnny Walker, which is decent, but
if we can only focus on bourbon really so much, Brandon.
Right.
I mean, like Ron Swanson says, never half-ass two things, whole-ass one thing.
Whole-ass one thing. That's right.
We
We're going to just throw
man.
out some Ron Swanson quotes.
I regret nothing. The end.
Yes. I love what he calls Anne the wrong name the entire episode. Ann Perkins. So, yes, he had the Offerman. This is, I believe, the third one that he's put out. The last 2 years came with high regards. This one, the third one. So, let's just jump right into it. I've already poured it.
Oh,
boy.
Oh, my gosh. That was just me sniffing it. Oh, man.
I couldn't tell if you were doing that as an act or not. It's mellowed out. I do.
That is peaty.
It's very peaty. It's very earthy, for sure. The first time I had this, I did and you can find it on my Instagram page, whiskey_weather. Meg Whiskey Fit, and I did a combined reel. That was when I popped this open of her. She loves Scotch. She passed it over to me over her camera, and I pretended like I was grabbing it from her and pulled from it. And boy, can I tell you what, that was the first time I had pulled from a Scotch bottle in a long time, so it was a surprise. So first thought,
what color
very clear.
You got
Yes, I'd say that's like a yellow.
Yeah, yellow. But as Ron Swanson would say, clear alcohols are for rich women on diets.
Yes. Do you have a list of Ron Swanson quotes popped up?
No, Brandon, I just love Ron Swanson.
Yes. So, what is your first thought on the nose, other than peaty?
I'm slapped in the face by the peatiness, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what else I can pull out of it. Do you have notes up of this guy that maybe we can help to find something else out of this?
Watch this be our best podcast because it's just absolutely terrible. So it says berry notes.
Berry?
Yeah. I can smell some fruit. I've got fruit on it a little bit. I don't know if it's berry, but it says, I've traveled the world and sampled many attempts at pleasing nectars, but it is solely this distillation of, is it Islay? A tiny charismatic Scottish isle that has claimed my palate. Yeah, and my heart into the bargain. Nick Offerman. Does it say on the bottle? No. Does it say on the box? This is riveting audio here, folks. If you're still with us, like,
Brandon, maybe you should put some alcohol in your mouth to block with words from coming out.
9.5 minutes. So yeah, we're about 10 minutes in, and if you're still here, thank you. So this is 46% alcohol by volume, so that's going to equate to 92 proof on the box. That's a different show. So we collected charismatic. Ooh, I almost got a little bit of like a grape as I like passed it past the nose.
I get like grass.
Oh, it's definitely peaty, man. Like there's some earth to this.
First sip. Here we go. Ready?
Let's capture this.
It tastes better than it smells.
Yeah, you think so?
No. Ooh. Oh man, it gets worse.
The berry notes, however, pull up in a chair in the mouth, complemented by pungent, peaty, woody, and spicy tones on the palate, infusing a pleasy chocolate sensibility. One could argue that the glowing, lingering, spicy, and simply sensational finish are precisely the pinnacle of what human evolution was leading up to this entire time. I'm still sniffing it, man.
So, the finish and the linger is like a barbecue pit. Like after you've extinguished it, you're done cooking, and everything is just kind of smoldering at the bottom there. That's what I'm getting on my finish here. It's dry smokiness and just smoke. There's nothing else to it.
Okay, so this is better the second time around. The first time I did not really enjoy it, but now the nose is the same as the first time around.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just getting like the finish, just sitting in my mouth is smoke. That's all. It's just straight smoke, not flavor. It's a dry hardwood smoke.
So I've got the peatiness right up front, the earthy tone. I'm pulling some like wine grape, like not a ton, but there's some sweetness up front. Dude, the first time I tried this, I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I'm ever going to do this again. We've got to do a podcast about this.
I am trying to make myself take another sip.
That's how I was the first time. I was like, So I agree with you. There's very heavy smoke to this. And that's that earthy peatiness, I think. I can kind of understand what you're saying, like that charcoal pit after you put it out. It's grown on me. Like, it's not... I know you're more of the critical one of the two of us, and I thought this was going to be my first axe, like just straight nope. But there's more grape to it now that...
It's up front, I get a typical Scotch, kind of. But it's the finish that for me that is just the upfront, because we did Stranahan's, which is an American single malt, American whiskey single malt, I think, and I can come around to that. That's good. The monkey shoulder I can find, but the first hit on the palate is scotchy, peaty, but this finish of just dry smokiness. Bare flavor to me.
I understand what you're saying. It is better now than the first time I had it. I'm not saying this is incredible. And we are not Scotch people. So if you're a bourbon person trying to venture into the Scotch world, you're probably going to be on the same levels that we are. For those who went from Scotch to bourbon, I think that's probably an easier transition in my mind. Do you think
Scotch to bourbon than bourbon to Scotch? Yeah. I want to think so, because Scotch is drier, where bourbon has, I'm not going to say complexity, because there are some fine freaking Scotches in the world, like the 30-year Glen McKenneth. That's
30-year, yeah. Well,
it's a How I Met Your Mother quote right there.
The wrong episode, wrong series there, pal. So I got this at Kroger. I think it was $80.
Did you get it at Kroger?
Yeah,
I thought it was one of your allocation lineups, and this was
I got this at Kroger in the lineup for a drop.
Okay.
I was the only one who picked this up. Everybody else went for something weird, and like the store clerk was like, "You're the only one who's bought this, and you're the smartest person here."
Maybe he was just swayed by Ron Swanson, I mean, I think you could easily see, hey, this is Ron Swanson, this is Nick Offerman's edition, and be like, I'm gonna grab that.
And I mean, I think that's part of the reason why people buy it. I'm gonna say I don't love it. I don't hate it though. And after the first time, the first time I drank it, I was not a fan. Putting it out there, clear, calm. Like I literally choked that sucker down, and like I'm not. This was $80. I'm not pouring this down. I'm not mixing it with anything. I'm gonna try to acclimate myself.
Good
The
for
more
you.
it has sat, the better it is for me. It's got seaweed to me. Like, that's the first thing I think of.
Do you like both ends of it? Because the front end is a typical Scotch taste, but then the finish is a game changer.
Okay, the first time I had it, the finish was like a terrible after.
All right.
This doesn't seem that bad the second time around. It's smoky. Definitely smoky. Oof. This kind of changes the whole Barrels and Barrels at Bourbon and Baseball podcast rating scale because we've never done anything before.
Scotch wise.
Right.
I like if I were to separate this into 3 parts, the first sip is a good Scotch. It does taste like a good Scotch up front, and then it mellows out into I can maybe pick out like grape, like there's maybe in the middle, but the finish for me, that smokiness, just the smokiness on top of the Scotch.
I know you're not a huge smoky guy.
Yeah.
Can I rate it?
I mean, as most listening can tell, I'm fighting to just drink more of what's in my glass and finish it, like you said. I'm sorry, Ron, but I wouldn't choose to put this in my mouth again. So I got DFA it.
That is where I thought that was going to go, and that's where I thought I was going to go. Honestly, I was like, this is going to be my first DFA, and it's not even going to be a bourbon. It's going to be a Scotch. I'm leaning to the bench.
What?
The fact, yes.
Wow.
It's not awful to me. Like, dude, full disclosure, the first time I popped this thing, I was like, I don't know if I'm ever going to drink that again. You know what? I'm going to drink it on a podcast so people can see my face of disgust. But it's not that bad. I mean, I could sit here and talk about my feelings, but I'd rather bleed out than sit here and talk about my feelings.
Yeah, calm
for
your
2
mitts,
minutes.
man. Calm your mitts.
Calm my mitts. That's also another Ron Swanson quote. I regret nothing. The end.
So you're benching this guy, huh?
I'm going to bench it. I want to try different Lagavulin Offerman editions. I don't necessarily think I'm going to buy the bottles of the other ones just off of this. I would love a handshake or sample or a trade from someone to like see what the other one. I wonder what a Guinness cask finish would taste like.
So you're benching this guy knowing he has options still.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yes.
There are
If
definitely
he didn't have
options.
if he didn't have options, it's a different story probably.
You know what I would do? I would package him as a trade, rather than DFA him because there's value there. There's a team that sees value in this. It's just not on my team. And that would be where I would go with it. So if we're going on the baseball theme here, he's in a package deal with, you know what this is? To make it all full circle. This is a contract that you don't want on your team, right? A player that you paid way too much for that didn't turn out to be something that was very useful on your team. So it's a contract that you're trying to offload on someone else.
Oh, and immediately I'm like, oh, is that would you say Eric Hosmer type of guy? But I think he had
David Price.
David
right?
Price,
Later year David Price, or maybe even the Carl Crawford later years, or
Carl Crawford,
or Jason Hayward later years.
Jackie Bradley Jr.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's awful. I don't think it's terrible. Like I said, the first time I tried this, I was making so many faces. And I'm going to go pour some more. So
Well,
I'm going
good
to say
for
bench.
you.
I'm not pouring a
Alright.
lot. I'm not pouring a lot. Maybe it's like letting it sit for a little bit. I don't know.
It's been in my glass for how long we've been recording this? At least 15 minutes. And
We're on the 20-minute mark.
what else you got there, buddy? You got anything else in there for me?
Hello? Are you changing?
I'll finish here with my my favorite, all-time favorite Ron Swanson quote. I believe you've accidentally given me the food that my food eats.
Well, it's a salad, right?
Yes.
My favorite one is strippers do nothing for me, but I will take a free breakfast buffet anytime, any place. And they're at the strip club, and he's just demolishing bacon and eggs. So that has been another edition of Barrels and Barrels, a whiskey and baseball podcast. Could you hear that?
Yeah, Brandon's house is falling apart over there. Hopefully that wasn't a bottle falling off his bourbon shelf.
That was the stripper.
That's true. Heyo.
No, that was not a bird. I don't know what that was. Something fell. But yeah, so let's try that again. This has been Barrels and Barrels, a Bourbon and Baseball podcast. We went with a Scotch today. We should probably just drop this on a Saturday, so it could be Scotchy Saturday or something like that, or Scotchy
Do
Sunday.
we have to make that a thing
No,
based off this one?
I do think we need to try some
kidding.
different Scotches, but this is not one that I loved. But I'm going to give it a bench. So that has been it. If you thought this was a terrible review, we apologize. For those Scotch drinkers, do not listen to us because we don't know anything about Scotch.
If you are a Scotch drinker, recommend what you think we would like.
Right. Yeah, that's another one. Like if you have a Scotch that you enjoy, send it our way. Or not send it our way, but like send the review or the thoughts our way. Please review us. We told you we give you honest and open reviews. We're not trying to poop all over this Scotch, but we'd love to hear your thoughts. Head on over. We're on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Google, as well as iHeartRadio podcasts. And also you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We already gave you that. If you've made it this far and you're wondering where you can find us at, God bless you. And if you did, email us. I'll send you a sticker for free because if you made it this far into this god-awful podcast.
And if you're thinking that this can't be this bad, I'm sure we could find a way, maybe even to get a sample of this thing over to you.
Oh, totally would send you a sample. Totally would send you a sample.
Just use
because that means it would empty the bottle. So, Michael, any last words?
No. That's usually by the end of bourbon reviews, I've downed my glass and I usually do half and I barely touched this thing.
I do want to apologize to the Trash Pandas because we have put your logo in our longest, most educational video. So if you're still here listening, Trash Pandas, hats off to you. Literally. So again,
I'm
thank
a
you
simple
for
man.
listening.
I like pretty dark-haired women and breakfast food.
Yeah. Put some alcohol in your mouth to block the words from coming out. This is Turf and Turf. It's a 16-ounce T-bone and a 24-ounce porterhouse. Also, whiskey and a cigar. I'm going to consume all this same time because I'm a free American. And again, thank you for listening to Barrels and Barrels, a Bourbon and Baseball podcast. If you've made it this far, again, you're a saint. You're an angel. You deserve a sticker. So email us, message us, maybe something else. I don't know. But thank you for listening. Michael.
Let's go.
Not drink any more of this.